This is FYI, conversations with interesting people about fascinating projects happening in Ohio.
And I'm JT Burcham. Welcome to FYI 93.7 The Light and Hope 100.7. Today, talking with an interesting person about a fascinating project. Welcome, Mr. Mark Bird of Revive Ohio. How are you doing, sir? Nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you as well, JT. Thanks for having me on today.
Now, haven't talked to you in a while, so do a little catch up. This time of the year, you hear people talking about, all the year-end reports and, all the stuff for taxes you got to get ready, state of the city, state of the nation. What is the state of Ohio according to Mark Bird and Revive Ohio?
Well, that's a mouthful, but you're absolutely right. This is the time of year that we kind of look back a little bit and see where the Lord has us or had us. And then we look ahead also into now 2025 and to say, where is the Lord taking us from here? Of course, we all want to be where the Lord is moving, right? Everybody does. And I'm pleased to report in that kind of question, JT, that God is indeed moving all across Ohio. Of course, if you're on social media, you're seeing all kinds of different facets, all kinds of different venues and things where the Lord is indeed moving. And of course, the name Revive Ohio is our heart. Our heart's mission, if you will, is to do just that, Revive Ohio. And it's really easy, to be honest with you, when the Lord's already going ahead of you or going ahead of us, right? He's already reviving hearts. So in the 8 years that we've been doing this since 2016, the Lord has been going before us. So that makes it a lot easier on my toes. let me explain that, JT. It used to be years ago that I would try to kick doors open. If I wanted to go somewhere, I would try to kick really hard and open a door. And I finally learned that with enough bruised toes, when the Lord opens the door, no man can shut it. But if the Lord doesn't open the door, you're just going to get bruised toes. So it's pretty awesome.
If he doesn't open the door, you might not want to be there anyway after you get, you know how that goes.
That's true. You may be going in alone. Yeah. And we definitely don't want that.
Yeah. So very cool. So what's on the schedule? Any scheduled counties around Ohio being visited by Revive Ohio this year?
Yeah, it's quite fun actually, because for those who may not know, we started out clear on the western side of Ohio. I was pastoring in Darke County on the far western side, neighboring up against Indiana, and we've now been invited into 19 different communities across Ohio. And most recently, we've been having meetings and talks with some counties up in the northeast corner. Right. And it's kind of awesome how the Lord has, again, opened up those doors across really Route 30 going across. And so we've now kind of been invited and having talks in Crawford County and Ashland County and Richland County and Wayne County and even Medina County. So it's kind of fun how things are opening up there. I don't want to say that it's a contest by any means. We're literally trying to find out and figure out how the Lord wants to have them in what order and priority and those sorts of things. So we're just meeting with them like we do. We're praying, we're preparing, and we're seeking the Lord for timing. But I suspect, to be honest with you, JT, I suspect that this spring, summer, and fall will probably be in one or more of those communities this year.
Yeah. Now, let's back up just a step. For those who know nothing at all about Revive Ohio, what is your mission? Why are you traveling around Ohio?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you doing that for those listeners that may not have ever heard of Revive Ohio before. But really, we just want to see the church, the Church of Jesus Christ, the body of Christ. We want to see the church unify for the purpose of fulfilling And this is our mission statement, and finishing the Great Commission. Well, now, what do you mean by that? Of course, we've all heard dozens of sermons before about the Great Commission, but how do you actually walk it out? And here we are in 2025 now. How do you walk out the Great Commission today? You can read that commandment. I say that with a question mark. Is the Great Commission a commandment, or is it just a suggestion by Jesus, right? We kind of feel like it's a commandment, and we as Christians, we as disciples of Christ, are really commanded to fulfill and finish the Great Commission. Where do we get finish the Great Commission from? Comes from Matthew 24:14, where Jesus told his disciples, when this gospel is preached all over the world, wherever that is, everybody's covered, if you will, then the end will come. And so we're going to live like we can see the fulfilling and the finishing of the Great Commission. And we just want to be about our Father's business, JT.
Yeah, very cool. So now, you, as an organization, you do travel around and try to help organize and bring people together for that common mission. Although you challenge us to do it individually where we are, you work pretty hard at bringing people together physically. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because the process, if you will, we're not coming to just have a meeting, or we're not coming just to have a one-time event. What our heart's desire is. Okay. All right, we good?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I heard some background noise, and I thought maybe something was interrupting us. But anyway, our mission and vision that we have really is a process to where we aren't just coming to have an event or a one-time deal. We are trying to bring the community together. We're trying to unite the church and unite it with the community, and so that there's lasting revival, because our heart's desire isn't just to, like, hey, let's have a good time and have a get together once. What we desire to see is a community revived. And the way that we've seen communities get revived is by unity, right? And so not just the church is unifying even, but really that the church comes together with the community. And what's really sad, JT, is in the church world, government is usually a dirty word, and in the government, church is usually a dirty word. And that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, what we've got to do is, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And so how we go about helping the community get revived is to remind each other that we are called to love our neighbors as ourselves. And first of all, you have to get to know your neighbor. We've sort of coined a phrase as we've gone across the state of Ohio here the last few years, JT, about, hey, I'm going to come and I'm going to introduce you to your neighbor. And, it's funny because in like the smaller rural counties, they talk about, oh, everybody knows everybody here. But it's amazing how the Lord has used it to just simply introduce certain Christians to other certain Christians in a community, other leaders to other leaders, church leaders, government leaders, education leaders, business leaders, on and on. And the heart of that is unity for the gospel, right? I believe that if we can impact 7 key areas in each community, then we can impact the whole community with the gospel. And that's where the church can get revived, to be honest with you. Like many pastors I know personally, because I've been a pastor and I know what it's like and how hard the work is. And I say this all the time. Nobody understands what a pastor goes through better than another pastor, right? It's one of those unspoken things. But here's the key. And I ask pastors in every city, hey, what would revive you? What would revive you in ministry? What would revive you personally? And overwhelmingly, they say, if I could see my people, if I could see the body of Christ doing the work of ministry, that it's not all just on the pastor, right? But that the whole church gets involved in it, And that's what's beautiful to me, because you start to see just people, like God's people, sheep from different congregations. You see them begin to interact. You begin to see them break bread together, get to know one another, begin to pray with one another, and then take that out and begin to love on your neighbors in your own community. Love on them, pray for them, help them, right? Help them get connected to resources in your community. It's amazing that a lot of Christians in communities that we go to, they just assume everybody knows. Everybody knows where to go for different resources, for different things. And it's until we come together that we can't really be unified and really begin to thrive as a community and really be impacted with the gospel.
Yeah. Wow. Now, if someone is listening today and they're challenged by what you're talking about, is there an opportunity for folks to get involved? Revive Ohio has volunteers?
We do. Yeah. Thank you for asking that, JT, because as I've mentioned, we've been in 19 communities now across Ohio, and we kind of pick up volunteers and pick up people who catch the vision and they want to see something more happen, right? Sometimes it's just they want to see something more happen in their local community. So I can tell you, in our metric-driven society, in our culture, all the pastors, they want to know, well, what are the success rates and what are the metrics and, those sorts of things. But here's one thing that I can say, because recently I just sat down and figured this up. But in all the 19 communities we've been to, 80% of those communities are still coming together and doing outreach. And so what does that involve? Like, that means that I'm not there anymore. My missionary team is not in that community anymore. We've done the work. We've started a fire. We've planted and watered seeds, right? We've brought unity, and then we've moved on. But revival is continuing because of local volunteers, like you're saying, JT. So the second way is maybe people that want to volunteer regionally. So like you may not be willing to travel the whole state, but you may be willing to travel in your community and maybe a couple of neighboring communities. That's what we would call a regional volunteer, right? You would be willing to go around to maybe a couple different counties and help them stay revived. And then, of course, the third way is to join the missionary team in Ohio. And again, we travel around the state as we are invited, and we get to help start fires all across the Great Buckeye State.
How can folks get involved? How can they learn more?
Yeah, so if you would just simply go to reviveoh.com, right? That's our website. There's a menu there with a whole bunch of options there. But basically, it's like, get involved. How do I get involved? Go to the menu, check out all the different facets of Revive Ohio. And there's a menu option there called Contact Us. It really just starts with that. Say, hey, I have questions, or hey, you've piqued my interest, and I'll have a conversation with you. I'll probably come and have coffee with you, something like that, JT. But listen, we need full-time team members. We need volunteers regionally, and we certainly need volunteers locally as well.
Yeah. I tell you, Mark Bird of Revive Ohio, I appreciate your heart, your mission, and the project you're involved in to make Ohio even better than it can be. So thank you for all you do to make our community stronger, bring believers together. Thank you for what you do on your mission. Appreciate it. ReviveOH.com. Mark, thank you for being here and doing what you do.
Thank you, JT. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.